Hello! We just finished Union Cave, and yeah. So we are on the very small part of Route 33 right now. It's very small. She talks about struggling to get through the cave, and we have one last guy here. This is a somewhat important trainer, I guess. And that he does call about swarms. So, if it matters to you, I believe it's just Dunsparce's. Maybe. I don't even remember. It's not very important to me, so we're just gonna kind of ignore it. But we are about to reach, I always struggle with this name, Azalea? Oh, I'll have to look at the sign and sound it out, so to say. Chomp. We'll just ember it. No reason to make this a long hassle. But yeah, we're almost to the next city, which sounds great. Well, oh, since Low Kick appeared, I can kind of talk about that. So Low Kick in Generation 1 was a 50 power, 90% accurate move. I don't know why I sucked at saying percent, but it made the fighting type. It was one of 3 fighting type moves. 4, sorry. Okay, 5 if you count Seismic Toss, but that really... whatever. But what that meant is it was a normal type. It was a fighting type move that did damage. That's what it did. Now it's based on a certain formula in the game that's based on the weight of Pokemon. And later we would have a grass version in Grass Knot, which is kind of important, I guess, but the formula is somewhat easy to understand. It's just certain tiers and thresholds of weight for the Pokemon, and it's not really important now in Generation 2, but in later generations it becomes very important because some Pokemon weigh way too much. So this guy talks about Bill's PC, which we'll get to later. He's a little ahead of schedule. But if we try and go... Really, lady? If we try and go to this gym, he's like, yeah, we're not doing that. So we have to find something to do. But before we go and move on with what we need to do, I would like to point out there is some mail here. And later, or right now, not later, but right now you can buy this charcoal and it'll increase your fire moves. So it's good for someone like me who picked Cyndaquil, but I recommend that you wait on that because you will get a free charcoal. Can I move? Thank you. Jeez. Come on. White Apricorn. And this is something we have not run into yet. What these apricorns, wow, apricorns will be able to do later is this guy right here is complaining about Team Rocket taking over Slowpoke Well, which is something we passed on the way into the city or town, but they're cutting off Slowpoke tails and all that, and he wants to go help, and so he's gonna run off. We're gonna talk to, wow, jeez, that's depressing, but he's gonna go save the Slowpokes. And of course, being the main character and all that, he's not going to succeed, so we're going to have to go do it. And if we come down here, I think he hurt his back. Yeah. I slammed down hard on my back, so I can't move. Yep. So, I also want to point something out. I know this is very limited, but that is not a fucking well. I don't care what anyone says. This is not a well. This is the worst well ever, but whatever. So we have the first introduction to Team Rocket, and there's nothing really important to go over here. but we don't really know much about them at this time, so I won't go in. Really? You're gonna ruin my day and make me switch? But back to the Apricorn. We saw Kurt, which is the guy's name, run off to go save the Slowpoke. After this is finished, you can give him Apricorns to make certain Pokeballs, and none of them are really important. There's like the Love Ball, there's a couple different ones, there's the Repeat Ball, I believe. Is that part of it? There's certain like special Pokeballs, and none of them matter. All of them are pretty hot garbage in this generation. Some of them become more important later, but there's one certain Pokeball that he makes that makes it way easier for you. Because of the way the formula works for the Heavy Ball, certain Pokemon are easier to catch. Now, normally Ultra Balls are just automatically better, just because of the way the formula works. But with certain Pokemon, and two of them, one of them does not appear in the wild, so you don't have to worry about it. But Lugia weighs enough to where it's more effective using Heavy Balls than Ultra Balls, which is why I'll be doing every now and then is once I get Black Apricorns, which is what is used, I believe, to get the Heavy Ball, I will every now and then come back and maybe stack up like 20 of them at most. And once I get the Fly HM, it will be way easier, of course. So that's what I'm going to be doing for Lugia. Or Lugia, however you say it. I always said Lugia, because Lugia sounds like Luigi, and I don't think you really want that. But, I don't remember the exact math, but I believe with the Heavy Ball Lugia, now I'm going to switch between them just because it sounds weird. Blah. But I believe it becomes either a 5.8 multiplier. I'm unsure on the exact. I'll have to look up the formula and just do it again. I did it a long time ago and just going off pure memory. But right now we have Team Rocket, which if you're going into this game with no previous inclination to what happened in the first generation, which is very rare. Usually if there's one game you've skipped, it's usually the second generation or the third. So it's very rare to have kind of just missed the first. But Team Rocket is some gangsters. They like to steal Pokemon, they torture stuff. Well, they don't really torture. Their big plan is to rule the world using Pokemon, which is way better than what will happen later in the series. There is no item there. I also want to point out something here. Their big plan is making money off Slowpoke tails and all that. But in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, to go into the future real quick, there is actually an executive here. In this game, there's only grunts. So it's pretty much just fighting some trainers. Kind of, really, it's just kind of there. But ultimately, in 4th generation, when Heart Gold and Soul Silver come around, you fight Petrol here, which he's not that tough anyway. He's actually really weak, but it's still better than just fighting a bunch of regular grunts. I mean, we did enough of this in Silph Co. Alright. Now we're starting to get to the level where that never moves. And what really sucks about using a Ghastly is how many times you have to switch out, and also just how slow this is. 100%, it almost makes you not want to use it. But 100%, I love once you get Ghastly up to a certain point. Once you get to level 25 and you do a trade in Gengar, Gengar is so good. It's just getting there. I always like to make the early game difficult to make the late game hard. And we'll see that with my next pick for a team member. But that's just my mentality. If you can make the early game like slightly more difficult, because the early game pathetically easy, and you go into the late game, which, don't get me wrong, very easy anyway, but there are some challenging fights in the game. I can think of what, Karen, I forgot her name for some reason, but Karen in the Elite Four is sometimes a team breaker with just, you have no super effectives sometimes. It's kind of awkward when you go up against an Umbreon and you have no fighting or bug type. Which the only one I could think of that would be good would be Heracross, which you don't have access to yet. You will soon, but... And then another irritating fight is Blue, of course. Blue is always irritating. Doesn't matter what your team is. Blue just is really irritating in this game. Alright, so we have one last grunt, so let's finish this off and we can move on and maybe clear that rock in from the second gym. Let's see. So, he has a coughing, which Petrol in later games has a coughing and a Zubat, I think it is, or just a coughing. Been a while since I played them. Okay, 100%. If that better be like a low roll. It's not. I know it isn't, but that's irritating. I don't want to switch either because I'm going to take a Smog, which doesn't sound like very painful, but it could poison and it's more along the lines of I don't want to switch. And also, since Quilava's going to completely get all of the next gym, I'm not even going to waste time with Ghastly in there. It's not worth the time. There we go. Maybe miss or paralyze. No. Hey, you missed anyway. Perfect. Gotta love it. Alright, so overall, nothing really happened. And there is a wild encounter in here, which I could have gone over. But we also have some gym trainers coming up and a couple other things. So I was going to leave it for there because I'm not using it. But I will say this right now. It is Slowpoke that is available. So if you want a Slowpoke, pick it up. I mean, I'm not sure if you're playing along at all, but Slowpoke's decent. And I'll get into the pluses and minuses a little later. But for right now, we have finished Team Rocket and we have a little cutscene-esque type scenario going on. You did okay today, but wait till next time. I'll go steal another Pokemon. Broken up. We continued our activities underground. And we don't learn what they did underground. Maybe they just sat there. Way to go! Team Rocket's taking off. My back's better too. Let's get out of here. And we teleport. And if we talk to him, you handled yourself like a real hero. I like your style. I would be honored to make balls for a trainer like you. And we get a lure ball, which is, it gives you a multiplier to any Pokemon you fish out of the sea. Which I do not think... Oh, we might as well. In this game, you can only take one at a time, by the way, so... if you talk to her, I believe she will give you his phone number, if I remember correctly. But otherwise, the gym's open. We have plenty of things to do in there. So next time, we'll be taking on Bugsy. The, hold on, let me see. Azalea. Azalea. Is that Azalea? Azalea. I'm saying Azalea Town. Yeah, bug Pokemon. Har har. So next time we'll be taking on this gym, probably burning into the ground. And we also have a surprise battle coming up. So, till then.